today's project, we're going to be melting together a bunch of glass inside of these metal rings. The plan is to make 3 rings of glass, and then we're going to take each ring and stack it inside of each other to make one giant sculpture. And we'll begin by filling the mold with clear glass, and once we have one layer of clear done, we're going to add the color. The outer ring is going to be made from 2 tones of blue. And once this mold is completely filled with glass, we're going to work on the second ring. We have now finished the first ring, so now we're going to work on the second one. This one here is going to be a mixture of clear and dark green glass. And just like before, we're going to fill this one up to the top, and once this mold is filled, we're going to work on the third ring. For the third and final glass ring, we're going to make this one out of clear and light blue glass. So this here is the mold, it's fully filled up. We have dark blue, kind of on the outside, we have some green, and then we'll have some light blue. So a couple weeks ago we had melted a bunch of glass together, and you can see this here is the result. We're going to start by taking the glass inside, and we're going to remove it from the metal rings. We'll begin with the smallest ring in the very center, and then we're going to move to the medium-sized ring, and then eventually we're going to try to break out the large ring. As you can see, I'm using a hammer to separate the rings, and then I'm using a block of wood and I'm hammering that against the glass to try to pop it out of the molds. The small ring separated quite nicely, and the medium ring did the same thing, no problems there. When I tried removing the outer ring, I had a bit of a hard time trying to get the glass to slide out. I tried a couple of tricks, but unfortunately I had to just break the glass in order to remove it. These here are the shattered remains of that ring. Not looking great. We're gonna get this cleaned off and see if we can salvage it. So this is what we have to work with. I've been playing around with different designs off camera, and I'm gonna show you what I think I wanna do. We have this here, and I wanna use this as like a base. This was originally for a different project, but this did not turn out how I wanted it to, so we're gonna use it for this project instead. The idea for this piece is to take this big chunk here that survived. I want to have it sort of displayed kind of like this, like a C. So you have the base here, this will be the base. This here will be a big crescent, maybe kind of pull it in like that. And then I want to use this piece here to kind of sit almost like it's balancing. I think that would be a cool looking shape. How's that look? Now that we have a plan, it's time for us to get to work. The first thing we're going to do is flatten the sides of the base, and we're going to also remove any sharp edges by using this jig here to add a bevel on the very top. Now that we're done with all the main grinding, we're going to use these different colored pads to slowly smooth up the surface of the glass, getting rid of any big scratches, and then eventually, once we're done with that, we're going to start polishing the piece. Polishing the glass is a little bit annoying because you have to be very careful not to overheat the glass, but it's also really fun because you get to finally see what the colors on the inside actually look like. Now that the base is fully shaped and polished, we're going to start working on the other 2 components. And this process is pretty much the exact same as the base. We're going to start by rough grinding it to get the pieces to the shape we want. Once we do that, we're going to use a bunch of different pads and a bunch of different tools to slowly smoothen up the surface and remove any deep scratches. I'm also going to use this Fordham tool to add a little bevel on the inside ring of this smaller piece. That way when somebody grabs it, they don't cut themselves. Then we'll finish by polishing up the sides and the edges of this component. Once we're done with that, we're going to move on to the crescent. This component definitely needed the most work because there was a lot of splinters and stuff from when it broke. So to fix that, we're going to start by flattening the piece. Then we're going to bevel the edges of the crescent to remove any of the splinters. After removing any cracks and splinters, we can start rounding the inside edge so there's no sharp spots. And as usual, once all the grinding is done, we can finish by polishing up the piece. At long last, all 3 components are now complete. I'm going to get all these components here cleaned, we'll then glue them together, and then we can call this project done. In order for us to attach all these components together, we're going to use a special glue that cures under ultraviolet light. Before we glue it, we're first going to clean everything. After that, we'll apply the glue. We'll then attach each piece together and position it to make sure it's in the right spot. Once the piece is in position, we're then going to turn on the UV light and cure the glue. And we'll do this one more time, putting the little ring onto the crescent. All that remains is for us to sign the piece, and now the project is done. If you enjoyed the video, then be sure to subscribe, and thanks for your time.